Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talk. Today, I'd like to talk to you about a very intriguing concept to me, something that I've thought a lot about and rolled it around in my brain and settled on and thought so much about in so many different aspects and so many different walks of life, in my life and other people's lives. And that is that happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a way of life. Disney is a destination. An all-inclusive resort on a tropical island is a destination. Somewhere you can save up for a long time to get to, and then somewhere you don't go for another 5 to 10 years. Happiness should not, full stop, be treated as somewhere you hope to get to every once in a while. Happiness should be treated as a choice and a way of life. And for anyone who is thinking, I can't choose to pursue happiness, I have no control over the way life goes sometimes, I understand that, and I get that, and there is a lot of truth in that. But I think we can delve into that and answer that in two different ways. One is to say that anyone who has ever cheered for a sports team, gotten emotional about the Super Bowl, thrown a fit when their team lost the World Series, or gotten angry and upset with their team just plain old lost, has allowed something that they have absolutely no control over to decide their emotional state, and by doing that, also decide their level of happiness. Nothing I can do will make my team win the World Series next year. It's 100% out of my control. It's up to the team. It's up to them. It's not up to me. I don't get to play on the team. I don't get to pitch. I don't get to catch. I don't get to play first base. I'm not a World Series umpire. I have no control over whether or not my team wins or loses any game, not just the World Series. Any sport that you have ever put any faith in, you have no control over how it goes. But so many people forget that we can choose to pursue things that we do have control over and therefore choose happiness. I mean, after all, we choose frustration and sadness when our team loses or when something doesn't go our way. That's the choice we make. We don't have to get angry or upset because the Jets lose a game or because the Red Sox didn't make it to the World Series. We don't have to get angry or upset. We don't have to choose that emotion, but so often we do. And we choose that emotion even when we have absolutely no control over the fact that the way we got there was something that was absolutely and completely out of our control. So if we look at that, when it comes to the situations in your life and the things that go on and the things you live through and the things you pursue and your hopes and dreams and your goals and even your day-to-day, I want you to choose happiness. The second thing I'll say is that viewing happiness as a way of life doesn't mean that you never have a bad day or feel sad or frustrated or angry or annoyed or anything like that. It means at the end of the day, you take some time to return to a place of feeling grateful and happy for the things you have in your life. And I've said this before, if you begin and end with grateful, then happiness will roll right out of the things in the middle as a natural byproduct. Bad days will always happen. It's inevitable. We can't control the stuck in traffics. We can't control the almost out of gas but already late to work. We can't control the spilled coffee, the broken window, and whatever it is in between. Bad days are going to happen. It's inevitable. But don't allow a bad day to consume you. Don't give so much energy and emotion to that one part of your day that it ruins the entire rest of the day. A day is a long time. We're at work for 8 hours, or if it's a weekend, we're involved in something for a good handful of hours. We have time to sleep. We have time for meals. All those things shouldn't be brought to a really negative place just because one or two bad things happen during the course of the day. Now, I understand that some days are really bad, and we have catastrophic events and things that make us sad and upset, and we have to grieve sometimes, and I'm not taking away any of that. But happiness in the moment and happiness overall in regard to the entirety of your day and your life shouldn't be viewed as a destination. Happiness shouldn't be something or someplace you hope to get to someday. It should be something that you choose, and if you can't choose it in the moment, you should choose to pursue it for the rest of the time you have during that day or that week or that month or your entire life. I use the sports analogy, and we'll go back to that for a quick second. Some of us, more than others, get so angry and frustrated and lose our minds when our favorite sports team loses. But that's a choice. You don't have to get sad or angry or frustrated if they lose. You can just say they lost. They're not paying you. You don't earn a paycheck if they win more. And we're going to take away sports betting and take that out of here. We're not talking about placing bets on teams. We're just talking about the people who watch the game, and then if their team loses, they get so angry and frustrated, and it ruins the rest of their day. But the team isn't paying them. They don't make any money if the team wins. They don't lose any money if the team loses. They don't have their car towed or taken away. They don't lose their job. It's just something that other people are playing, a game that other folks are involved in, a game that other people are playing, and you choose how much you let it affect you. We choose to let it bring us to such an angry and frustrated place sometimes. So the other side of that coin is I want you to choose to let it bring you any event, not just sports. Let an event in your life, let it bring you happiness. Or at least, if it's something that you view as frustrating, don't let it bring you so deep down into the hole of angry and mad and frustrated that you can't see the light of day anymore. It's something that we can pursue. Happiness. It's something we can look for in all things. I have said many times before, every day may not be a good day, but there is good in every day. So yes, bad days will always happen, but try to look at them as bad moments or bad parts of the day instead of the entire day being bad. Like I said, 24 hours is a long time for nothing good to happen. Think of that. Think of the entire 24 hours. If you look back and think of the actual moments in your day, I promise you can find things that went well during that entire 24-hour span. So even if some things go wrong during the day, and we have some bad parts of the day, you might have to look a little harder for the good parts or for the happiness, but I promise, it's in there. And while you're looking for the good in your day, always be mindful and aware that someone, somewhere, wishes they had your problems. Your sports team lost and you're mad? Awesome. Someone, somewhere, has never seen a football game on TV, let alone in person. Another person has never even seen a TV, and they've never mind owned one. Every situation we encounter day to day leaves us faced with a choice of how we respond. And this is really big. The way we respond to things can drastically change our day, our mood, our mindset, and how good or bad of a day we have going forward. We can't control other people. We can't control the things that happen sometimes. If our sports team loses, if traffic is awful, if our boss is in a bad mood and takes it out on us, those are things that are out of our control. But if you look really deep into them and look really hard at them, you can choose how you respond. Take a second, take a minute, take a breath, and instead of having a just reactionary moment, take a second to really think what your response and your reaction means. If you are a parent or a coach, you can see this 10 times over again and tenfold with the way you respond or react to your kids or your players if you're a coach, or if you're a teacher and you have students. If a child in your life brings you something difficult and they bring you something they think they're going to get in trouble for, and you launch and fly off the handle and yell and scream at them, they will always remember that, and it will make them timid and worried that in the future they can't bring you things like that because you're going to yell and scream and be irrational about it. But if they bring you something and you take a second to say, okay, yes, this makes me a little frustrated or angry or mad or upset. They should know better. They're old enough not to do this. This shouldn't be a problem. And you just breathe through that for a second and then get to the point where your reaction is firm but fair. If it's something that went wrong, hey guys, listen, thanks so much for telling me. This really isn't a great situation for what happened, but here's what we're going to do to fix it, and here's how we're going to move forward. that reaction will keep your entire rest of your day balanced and much happier and less anxious and angry and frustrated if you just take the time to really think about how you choose to react. Because that's what we get. That's what's in our control. Lots of people during the day struggle for power, and they struggle for power in situations, and they get angry when they don't have power to control things or make things different, or they say, this shouldn't go this badly, or my boss is in a terrible mood. It's not my fault. He or she shouldn't take it out on me. And that's probably the case. However, we can't make that any different, especially not in the moment once it's already happened. You can't undo the thing once it's already happened. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, okay? You just, once it's happened and the action has passed or taken place, all we can do from that point forward is react to it. So if you choose to have a controlled reaction that keeps you balanced and not angry, that will continue through the rest of your day. And once you do this a few times over again, it will be a natural, not even have to think about a reaction, to just take the time to think before you react. And by controlling your reaction, you give yourself so much more power in how you are feeling about the entire rest of your day and the entirety of the situation at hand and just what's going on in general. And the good news is that we have that choice. And sometimes it's difficult to do, but you can choose happiness over the other emotion that shows up. If frustration is the first emotion that shows up immediately when you hear about something, you can take a minute and pause and take a breath and say, you know what? I'm going to choose to let frustration go on this one, to get rid of the frustration, and I'm going to choose to find some happiness and goodness in this moment. And it doesn't have to be jump around and dance in the kitchen happiness. That's not my point. It just has to be something that is controlled and doesn't leave you feeling angry and bitter about the situation. Choose to look at the positive side of it. I'll give you an example. My family went to Niagara Falls this past summer, and we stayed in this cute little house, and it was really nice. And we had this beautiful little front porch, and on the front porch was this big picture window that looked into the dining room. And my kids were out playing one day, and I was inside, and I heard, not a super loud noise, but I heard kind of a thunk, and I didn't think much of it. And I went outside, and I looked, and I was like, you guys okay? And the kids said, oh, yeah. They said the basketball, bounced across the porch and went under the table. And I said, okay. And as I turned to go back inside, I noticed there was a giant crack across this entire picture window. And when I say giant, I mean across the entire window, when the window was 5.5 or 6 feet wide. And probably 4.5 or 5 feet high. It was huge. Now, we're staying at a rental house, paying money to stay there. It is not our home. I am in a different country. I cannot just say, hey, I'll fix the window because, I'm a carpenter by trade and spent 9 years of my life building houses. I'll fix it for you. I have to now call the landlord and say, hey, we broke a window. Here's some pictures. You let us know how much it's going to cost to fix it, and we will write you a check to get it fixed. Now, in the moment, was I happy? Absolutely not. My kids are old enough to know what windows are and to know that we are not at a house, or we are at a house that doesn't belong to us. And was it their fault? Not really. But in the moment, I wanted to just launch and lose it. And I thought, they broke this window. Lord knows how many hundreds or maybe even thousands of dollars it's going to take to fix this. And I'm going to be left with doing this after already paying for vacation, and hope to God that the people that own the house don't tell me, just, get your stuff and leave right now because we want to fix the window. So there was a lot of upset and frustration that could have come flying out of me. But I took a look at it, and I looked at what had happened, and I said, okay, what happened? And the first thing I think they wanted to tell me was, well, that was like that when we got here. And I think they took one look at my face and knew that wasn't true. I wasn't going to buy that. So I said, what happened to the window? It wasn't broken before. It's broken now. What happened? But even my question, even my controlled response of just asking what happened, they were much calmer. They didn't jump right to, oh my God, we have to try to cover this up because Dad's going to kill us. They went to, well, the basketball rolled under the table, and we went to get it, and we, leaned up against the table, and we didn't know the table was touching the window, and we bumped into the table, and the table pressed against the glass, and it broke. Now, was it ideal? No. Was it a truthful story? Absolutely. I looked down and I said, yep, the table was against the window, 100%. I could see it, the ball underneath it. My son crawled down to try to get it, and he, pressed up against it and broke. So To calm my frustration, I approached it with some grace, but I realized very quickly that the happiness I found in that moment was, thank God it didn't break entirely and have one of those giant, and I mean giant, pieces of glass come down and fall on my son or daughter, because that would have been chaotic and catastrophic. I mean, huge. It was a 5 foot by 6 foot picture window, a piece of glass that big if it broke out, because it didn't break into a bunch of tiny pieces. It wasn't laminate glass like a car windshield. It was giant plate glass, and it really could have done a lot of damage. Now, is that jump up and down, dance in the kitchen happiness? Absolutely not. But the choice I had in the moment was to either get angry and frustrated, or to just choose, you know what, glad my kids are okay, glad they were safe. I'm very happy that they were honest with me. Them being honest with me was a direct result of me not losing my cool right away, and I'm just asking them the calm question of what happened. So I am happy with the situation. Now, I'm not happy that the window broke. That's not what I mean. Don't misunderstand me. I am happy with the outcome of the situation. No one was hurt. They were honest with me about what happened, and it is something that I can talk to the landlord about and have fixed. Do I have to pay for it? Yes. Am I happy about spending extra money? No. But could it have gone a lot worse? Sure, it could have. In the grand scheme of my entire day, did that ruin my day? No. We had a fantastic morning at a amusement park where we were staying close in Canada. We had delicious food for lunch. They broke the window in the afternoon. We got over it. We moved on. That night we went out and had a ball. The kids laughed and they had so much fun. We had so many great memories, took so many wonderful pictures. So was the window a big deal? Not really. Could I have freaked out? Sure, I could have. I could have gone 10 times, through the roof, and I could have let it ruin my whole day. I could have told them, we are going nowhere tonight. You two deserve nothing more this day because you broke a window. But I chose to find a little bit better reaction to it and a little bit more balance within it. In the course of my entire day, 100 different great things happened. Laughter from my kids and pictures and great family memories and fun walks and silly things that happened, and my kids getting along just wonderfully and enjoying every single moment of vacation. There's no reason to let something that happened in the middle of the day for literally probably a grand total of 8 minutes from start to finish ruin the rest of my day. Happiness is not a destination. It's not somewhere you should hope to get to. It's a way of life, and it's a choice. So that one instant, that one moment, by choosing to react more calmly and looking at it from a little bit higher altitude and saying, you know what, I'm happy that no one got hurt. That is the small piece of happiness I will pull out of this. Now, like I said, I wasn't happy with the situation. That's not what I mean. But there is a part of it you can be happy about the outcome in regard to what happened. I couldn't unbreak the window. I can't go back in time and make it so it didn't happen. Screaming and yelling at my kids that they were not being responsible will not help the window get fixed, period. So I found a way to just say that I'm happy that no one got hurt, and we're going to move on with the rest of our day. Now, I'm sure some people are probably thinking, listen, if my kids broke a giant window, there's no way I could find anything happy about it at all, period, end of story. And that might be the case, but it's something you can work on, or we all can work on. And to get this illustrated a little bit better, I want to look at it from the other side of the coin, because this is something I think we don't do enough in all aspects of life, not just about happiness and calm reactions to situations, just in our general life. I think very often we forget to look at it from the other side of the coin, or reverse the situation and give us, and look at the backside of it when we say, hey, let's look at this from the opposite angle and see if it looks any different. Let's turn it on its head, so to speak. And to do that, here's what I'm going to say. Imagine right now that you're going about your day and something really good happened. You encounter something amazing that makes you really excited, really happy. You get great news. You get promoted at work. You find a $100 bill on the ground, or a $100 bill in your coat pocket that you didn't know was in there. You're really happy. It's something good. You're super excited. Now, tell me, anybody listening, we wouldn't choose anger and frustration when something good happens, would we? We wouldn't say, oh my God, I found a $100 bill in my coat pocket. Well, I guess I lost it at one point in my life, and I don't know when I lost it. So, well, this day just got terrible because I realized I lost money at one point in my life. That's not what we do. Something good happens, something that makes us happy. We don't choose anger. So when something makes us happy, what do we choose? We choose happy. We choose excited. We choose goodness. We choose, yes, this made my day better. But it's a choice. We certainly could have a negative reaction to it, but we don't. And the reason we don't is because we choose to react the way that we think is most applicable or appropriate for that situation. But the good news is, even if it's not all that applicable or it's not your first immediate reaction to a negative situation, you can still choose happiness. You don't have to make happiness someplace where you hope you can get to in the course of your day. Like I said, it's not Disney World. You don't have to say, well, I hope some point between now and the end of the day I can get to happiness. I hope sometime between now and the end of the week I can find a way to get to Happy Town, at least twice in the same week. That's not what it is. You shouldn't make it this unattainable place that you have to find a way to get to or save up money to get to. It should be a choice every day. And I know some people are faced with lots of difficult things during the day, but look at it from that reverse side for a second. Think of the last time something good happened to you, something that made you smile, something that was really good. Think of how silly you would have felt or how crazy you would have felt if you had a negative reaction to it. You got a promotion at work. Oh, God. This is just awful. This is just terrible. And I get it sounds so silly to do that, but we have the choice. We certainly could choose to react negatively, but we don't because we like happiness better. So if you like happiness better, let's keep on choosing it, even when the situation isn't quite as good. You can say, yep, this thing happened and it's great. It makes me happy. And you can also say, this thing happened that wasn't so great, but I'm going to find some happiness to pull out of it. And one of the things that I want to pull out of that statement in that moment is that you can choose to be happy when good things happen, and you can choose to be happy when not so good things happen. The things don't dictate how we react. We do. The things that happen in life, the situations, they have no control over our own reactions. They're not pulling our puppet strings. They don't dictate how we react. We do. The things are just things. The situations are just situations. The long line at the coffee shop or the stuck in traffic is just a thing. It's just something happened during your day. It doesn't control your reaction. You get to choose how you react. Some of the happiest people I have ever met in my entire life are people that even when bad things happen, they look at it from the other side of the coin and say, well, let's find one good thing in here. These are the silver lining people. And I understand that not everything has a silver lining, but if you look hard enough and you take the time to think about how you're going to react and you take the time to think about things, I promise you can find some goodness even in bad situations. The window that my kids broke was a pain. It was really expensive to fix. I won't tell you how much, but when I wrote the check, it hurt to write it because it was super expensive. And it was a big window, and it was a big job to fix it because, like I said, it was all one piece of glass. And I don't doubt that it was a pain because, like I said, I worked in the trades long enough to know that it wasn't a simple 5-minute job. It was probably a lot of work to fix it, and it did hurt to write the check, and it wasn't fun to pay for. However, I am so thankful my kids were not hurt in what could have been an awful situation. And even thinking about this now, some things I didn't think of in the moment, other things that could have been bad that I didn't even pull out of that, but I could have. The window cracked. It didn't break entirely, which meant the glass did not fall on my kids. The other good part of that meant that we didn't have to try to board up the window to go to sleep at night. Yes, it was summertime, but we can't just leave a big gaping hole in the front of somebody else's house if the window had gotten broken. So no one got hurt. The glass didn't fall out. It was just cracked. We didn't have to board up the house. We didn't have to leave and end our vacation early because there was a big gaping hole in the front of the house. We were able to continue our stay. I think we still had like 3 days left of the vacation, so we didn't have to cut things 3 days short. We didn't have to end our trip only halfway through it. We were able to stay. No one got hurt. The landlords were calm and understanding about it. They said, hey, we get it. Accidents happen. We'll have somebody come out and look at it and get you an estimate. They provided me a scanned copy of the estimate from the contractor, so they knew they weren't just asking me for some crazy sum of money because they were angry I broke their window. And they were really great about the entire thing. So was it bad? Yep. Was it a pain? Yep. Was I angry at my kids? Kind of. Was I angry at the situation? A little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, did it turn out really okay for what the situation could have evolved into? Absolutely. Happiness is something you can find. I promise. And I know it sounds difficult to do sometimes, but do something for me. When something happens that makes you angry or frustrated or upset or sad or annoyed, take the time to do two things. Stop and think and breathe before you react. And then when you start through the process of thinking about it, try to think of what could have gone wrong that didn't. We always say that, Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. Think about all the things that didn't go wrong that could have. Is it a bad situation? Yes. I have a very good friend of mine who got in a car accident and totaled their car, and it was not very old. And they were really angry and frustrated and upset that they totaled their car. However, I said, you literally totaled the vehicle. I mean, it is in awful shape. You opened the driver's side door and stepped out unharmed. Think of the difference that would have been blanketed over your entire day if we were calling friends and family members because you were in the hospital and you were stuck in the hospital for days or weeks trying to recover, and you had to find childcare, and your kids had to come visit you in the hospital, and you were out of work and couldn't figure out a way to get your kids to and from school because you were no longer home, you were stuck in the hospital. Think about all those things. Yes, it was awful. Yes, totaling a fairly new car is something that I never want to experience, and I hope no one else listening ever experiences. But think of the things and look at the things that went well that didn't necessarily have to. And those are the types of things you pull happiness out of. So I'm going to tell you one more time, happiness is not Disney World. Can you be happy at Disney? Absolutely. But it's not a place you should hope to get to every once in a while. Happiness should be something you love and something you look at and find ways to pursue. Think of happiness like the person you've been crushing on your entire life. Find ways to pursue it. Find ways to get you and happiness together, because at the end of the day, that will keep you happy. And I promise, if you do this enough, if you do it a handful of days in a row, it will become a habit. And after a handful of days, those days will become weeks. And when you learn to control your reactions and look at the better side of the coin, you will naturally be able to do that, and you will get to a place where you feel happier and more balanced. If you want to hear more about this, our next episode, I think, is going to be about controlling your reactions, so we're going to delve into it some more. As always, thank you so much for listening and following along. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and whatever part of the day it is for you in your part of the world, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.